I was walking with my girlfriend through the old part of the city when it happened. Introduced them. We were just coming back after a while. My girlfriend cheated on her. The kind where nothing matters. I was invited in each other's company. When I saw someone I hadn't thought about in years, at first I didn't recognize her, but the moment she smiled, something clicked. It was Emma, my old classmate. We hadn't spoken since graduation, but back in the day, we used to be close, study partners, group project teammates, the kind of friends who always ended up sitting next to each other without trying. And now, she looked different, more confident, more alive, like the years had worked in her favor. Her hair was longer, her posture straighter, her eyes sharper. The way she looked at me, not awkward, not shy. It felt like she'd already seen everything life could throw at her and learned how to laugh at it. We said hello. She greeted both of us warmly. But I noticed my girlfriend's grip on my hand tightened slightly. Not in anger, more like instinct. I could feel her sizing Emma up with every word and smile. Emma and I chatted for a few minutes, catching up. Nothing serious. Just that light surface-level nostalgia people slip into when they're not quite sure what to say. When Emma finally left, my girlfriend stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then she smiled. That kind of smile that tries to look casual but doesn't quite succeed. "She seems nice," she said. "She is," I replied. And that was that. At least, I thought it was. But later that evening, as we sat watching a movie, she brought up again, "You two were close?" "Yeah," I said. "We were good friends. You should invite her over sometime. I'd love to hear more about your high school stories." I looked at her. She seemed so casual, so relaxed, like it was just a friendly idea. But I could see something else in her eyes. Curiosity? Interest? Something I couldn't quite name. And I didn't argue. I nodded. "Sure," I said. "Why not?" And that's how it started. I thought it would just be dinner. I had no idea it was going to be the beginning of something I never expected. A few days passed after we ran into Emma. I didn't think much of it. Life continued. Work, laundry, the usual rhythm. But my girlfriend kept bringing her up, casually at first, then more directly. "She really has great energy," she said one night as we were brushing our teeth. "She seemed so confident," she added during lunch the next day. "I can see why you were friends with her." It was subtle, but I felt it. A spark of fascination. Not jealousy, not suspicion, just interest. I asked her, finally, "You really want to invite her over, don't you?" She smiled. "I do. I think it'd be fun. You two have all this shared history, and honestly, I'm curious. I want to know more about the version of you I never got to meet." It felt harmless. Sweet, even. So I messaged Emma the next day. "Hey, it was great seeing you the other day. Want to come over for dinner this weekend?" She replied, almost instantly, "Absolutely. I'd love to catch up properly." Saturday. And just like that, the plan was made. Saturday evening came faster than expected. We cleaned the apartment together, lit candles, set out wine. My girlfriend was in high spirits, more animated than usual, like she was hosting a little party, only for one person. She wore a new blouse, a soft lavender one that brought out her eyes. Her hair was curled, lips glossed. "You look amazing," I said. She kissed my cheek. "Thanks. You nervous?" "Should I be?" She shrugged playfully. "We'll see." When Emma arrived, the energy in the room shifted. She came in with a bottle of wine and a big smile. Hugs were exchanged, first between her and me, then between her and my girlfriend, who pulled her like they'd known each other for years. "You look incredible," my girlfriend said, eyeing her up and down. "Right back at you," Emma replied. I stood there for a second, feeling like I was in a scene that had started without me. Dinner started simply enough. We sat around the table, eating pasta and laughing over old stories from high school. I told the one about the time Emma and I got caught skipping gym to sit in the library and eat vending machine snacks. Emma added more detail. How we used to make up fake names for substitute teachers. How we had a code word for boring classes. My girlfriend listened, fascinated. "You guys were wild," she laughed. "I wish I had friends like that in school. You'd fit right in Emma said, smiling. The three of us laughed, and I'll admit it felt good. Familiar. Light. But something changed around dessert. I can't say exactly when, but it was there, a shift. The way my girlfriend touched Emma's arm when she laughed. The way Emma brushed her hair behind her ear, slower than usual, like she knew she was being watched. The way their eyes met, not briefly, not politely, but with a kind of charge I couldn't define. I tried not to notice. I kept the conversation moving, tried to steer it back to something safe. But the air in the room had changed. When Emma got up to use the bathroom, I turned to my girlfriend. "You're enjoying this," I said. She raised an eyebrow. "And you're not." "I am. It's just, you two are getting along. Isn't that what you wanted?" I wasn't sure how to answer. Emma came back and sat a little closer to my girlfriend this time. Not to me. They whispered about something, and when I asked, they both smiled and said, "Just girl stuff." It was subtle. Nothing that could be called inappropriate. But it felt different. Like I was suddenly a guest in my own apartment. After dinner, we sat on the couch, finishing the wine. The music was low, the lights soft, and somehow the seating arrangement shifted. My girlfriend and Emma ended up side by side, their knees touching, their laughter a little softer, a little slower. I sat across from them, watching. They looked at each other like they shared a secret. And maybe they already did. When Emma finally left that night, we all hugged goodbye. But her hug with my girlfriend lasted a little longer than it should have. They didn't say anything, just smiled at each other. And I stood there, feeling like I just missed the ending of a movie I didn't know I was in. Later, as we got into bed, I asked casually, "So, what did you think?" "She's amazing," my girlfriend said. "I really like her." I nodded. "Yeah, she's great." Then silence. We both stared at the ceiling. Something had changed that night. Something I couldn't name yet. But I felt it. And once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. I couldn't stop thinking about that dinner. Not because anything dramatic happened. No one crossed a line. There were no loud confessions, no obvious signs. But still, something was off. I couldn't shake the way my girlfriend looked at Emma, the way they looked at each other, the way their energy filled the room like I had suddenly become extra. And the more I thought about it, the more I found myself slipping into old memories of Emma and me. Before life got complicated, we used to be close. Not just high in the hallway close. Real close. We grew up in the same neighborhood, walked to school together, did our homework side by side in the library. She was the first person who ever showed me how to cheat on a math test, and also the first person who ever stayed up with me past midnight on the phone just to talk about nothing. Back then, it never felt romantic. Just easy. We had our own language, the kind of shorthand only childhood friends understand. She knew what I hated about gym class, and I knew the names of her first 3 crushes. She once cried in my kitchen when her parents were fighting. I didn't say anything. I just sat beside her and gave her the last cold soda from the fridge. That was how we were. Uncomplicated. Loyal. Maybe that's why seeing her now, all grown up, made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. A strange kind of safety mixed with confusion. She wasn't the same Emma, but she still knew me. Better than most people ever had. After the dinner, I noticed little things. My girlfriend added Emma on social media the next morning. Like almost every photo from the last 6 months. Left a comment under one that said, "You're glowing." Emma replied with a heart emoji, and "You're the sweetest face blowing a kiss." I saw it, pretended I didn't. The next weekend, I found them messaging. Not in secret, nothing hidden. My girlfriend was sitting beside me on the couch, casually scrolling. But I glanced over and saw Emma's name pop up. My girlfriend smiled at her phone, typed something, then giggled softly. I asked, "Talking to Emma?" "Yeah," she said without looking up. "She's hilarious." That was it. She didn't elaborate. I didn't ask more. I didn't want to sound paranoid, or insecure, or controlling, but the feeling lingered. One night, we were cooking dinner together. When I brought it up, "Do you ever wonder why Emma and I never dated back then?" She paused mid-stir. Just curious. I said, you seemed interested in her story. She smiled. I figured you liked her at some point. Maybe. It never happened, though. Why not? I shrugged. Timing, I guess. It was never the right moment. She gave me a long look. You ever think about it now? Her question surprised me. Now? Yeah. I laughed it off. No, she's just a friend. Still, that one word, still, stuck with me. I looked at her, and for the first time, I couldn't tell what she was really asking. Was it about jealousy, or curiosity, or something else entirely? After that night, I noticed a change in how she spoke about Emma. She brought her up more often. Emma said this. Emma sent me this meme. Emma wanted to go to that new sushi place. Maybe we could all go. And I always nodded. Sure. Cool. Sounds fun. But deep down, something was shifting. Not in Emma. Not in me. But in her. A few days later, I came home early from work and saw my girlfriend on the phone. She didn't hear me walk in at first. She was laughing. That soft kind of laugh she usually saved for late-night talks or lazy Sunday mornings. Then she saw me, smiled quickly, and ended the call. Hey, she said, voice a little too casual. You're home early. Who was that? Emma, she said. She was just telling me this wild story about her neighbor. I nodded. She kept cooking, humming to herself, and I stood there for a moment, wondering how a dinner invitation turned into daily conversations and private laughter. Emma and I had once been close, but now it felt like she was closer to my girlfriend than to me. And the worst part, I didn't know when that happened, or how, or why it suddenly made my stomach twist. At first, I tried to tell myself it was harmless. They were just getting along. Two women bonding over shared stories and casual texts. I told myself it was normal, even flattering, in a weird way. How often do your girlfriend and your old friend actually like each other? But there's liking. And then there's whatever this was. It started with the sleepover. Yes, a sleepover. My girlfriend told me casually one evening while we were making tea. Emma wants to do a movie night this weekend. She asked if I wanted to come over. We might crash at her place if it gets late. I looked up from the kettle. Just you two? Yeah, she said, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world. You don't mind, do you? I didn't want to say yes, but I also didn't want to say no and sound insecure. So I just nodded. No, it's fine. She smiled. I figured you wouldn't care. It's just girls' night. Girls' night. Right. Saturday came. She dressed a little differently that evening. More effort than usual. A new top, light makeup. Perfume I hadn't smelled in a while. I tried not to notice. I didn't want to be that guy. But I noticed anyway. When she left, she kissed me on the cheek and said, "Don't wait up." And I didn't. But I didn't sleep either. The next morning, she came home around 10 a.m. Hair messy. Hoodie zipped up. Sunglasses on, even though it was cloudy outside. She looked nervous. Or tired. Maybe both. I asked, "Good night?" She nodded. Yeah, we just talked and drank a little. Watched old movies. Nothing wild. I nodded slowly. You okay? She smiled. Just tired. You know me, one glass of wine and I'm out. She walked straight into the bedroom and collapsed on the bed. I stood there in the hallway, holding a mug of coffee she never asked for, and something in my chest felt tight. Not pain, not jealousy, just confusion mixed with instinct. Something wasn't right, and I could feel it deep in my gut. The next few days felt strange. She was sweeter than usual, more affectionate, more attentive. It should have made me feel better, but it didn't, because it didn't feel like love. It felt like guilt. One evening, I picked up her phone by mistake. We had identical models. I wasn't snooping, just grabbed the wrong one from the table. Before I could even unlock it, a message popped up from Emma. Last night was intense. I'm still thinking about it. I froze. Still thinking about it? My fingers hovered over the screen, and then another message appeared. I can't believe we actually did that. My heart dropped into my stomach. I placed the phone back where it was. Didn't read more. Didn't say a word. I walked into the kitchen and stared out the window while the tap ran. I wasn't sure what I had seen, but I was sure it wasn't innocent. That night, I couldn't look at her the same. I watched her sleep and wondered what else she hadn't told me. What else had happened while I sat alone in our apartment, telling myself to be cool, to trust her. I'd let Emma back into our lives. I'd welcomed her with open arms. And now, I felt like a stranger in my own relationship, like the walls were whispering things I wasn't meant to hear. I didn't confront her. Not yet, because part of me wanted to believe there was still a chance I was wrong. But another part of me had already started building a quiet plan, because when something feels too close to ignore, it usually means it's already crossed the line. For a few days, I said nothing. I tried to act normal, eat together, talk about work, ask her how her day was. She smiled, laughed, touched my arm like everything was fine. And maybe for her, it was. But in my head, that message looped on repeat. Last night was intense. I can't believe we actually did that. She hadn't said what that was, but I didn't need details. I could feel the truth stretching underneath every word she didn't say. Then something happened that made it all click into place. I came home early from work on a Thursday. She was in the kitchen, talking on speakerphone. I don't think she realized how clearly her voice traveled. Or maybe she thought I wouldn't be home for another hour. Emma's voice came through first. "You were so bold last time, I still can't believe it." Then laughter. Soft, comfortable, familiar. My girlfriend replied, "Well, you said you missed me. I couldn't wait another week." Another week? I stepped forward, making a little more noise this time. She turned fast. Phone flipped over. Smile forced. "Oh, hey, you're early." "Yeah, meeting got canceled." She nodded too quickly. "Just talking to Emma?" "Tell her I said hi." A pause. Actually, she just hung up. Right. Of course she did. That evening, I waited for the right moment. When she stepped into the shower, I looked around the living room. Something felt off. Things had been moved. Subtle stuff. A glass on the side table that hadn't been used in days. A throw pillow on the wrong chair. The faint scent of perfume that wasn't hers, at least not one I recognized. Then I found it, an empty water bottle in the trash, Emma's brand. She always drank the same one. I remembered it from high school. No one else I knew used it. I stared at it like it was a crime scene clue. She'd been here. Recently, without telling me. When she came out of the bathroom, I asked carefully, "Has Emma been by lately?" She hesitated. Just half a second. "No." "Why?" "No reason. Just thought I smelled her perfume." She smiled too quickly. "You're imagining things." "Right. Of course I was." That night, I checked our apartment building security footage. We had a shared entry system. I had access from my phone. I scrolled back 2 days. There she was, Emma, entering the building at 7:12 p.m. No delivery bag, no umbrella, no guest with her. Just Emma, alone, confident. And about 10 minutes later, my girlfriend appeared at the door, letting her in. No denial now. No guessing. No, maybe they just talked. Emma had been inside our home, without my knowledge, behind my back. I didn't explode, didn't confront her yet. I sat with it, let the weight of the silence settle over me like wet concrete. Because sometimes you don't need to shout to know what's been broken. You just need to notice the way they avoid the truth with a smile. Later that night, she curled up beside me, tucked her head under my chin, like everything was perfect. And maybe for her, it still was. But for me, all I could think about was how many times I had welcomed Emma into my home, my stories, my past, never knowing that one day she'd be walking the front door when I wasn't even there. And worse than that, she didn't even think I'd notice. There's a quiet point after betrayal where emotion disappears. No more racing pulse. No more what-if questions. No more hoping you're wrong. Just clarity. Cold and sharp. That's where I was. Not angry. Not broken. Just Done guessing. The night I saw Emma on the security footage, I didn't sleep. Not because I was upset, but because my mind was working. If they had been in my home without telling me, what else had happened? What else had they hidden behind smiles and jokes and perfectly timed girl talk? I needed to know, not to argue, not even to punish, but because when someone rewrites your reality, you need to see the real version for yourself, even if it hurts. So I made a plan. Our apartment had an old tablet we barely use anymore, mostly for music playlists and the occasional recipe video. It still worked, though, and more importantly, it had a camera I could position just right. I placed it behind the books on the shelf across from the couch. You wouldn't notice it unless you were specifically looking for it. I turned the screen brightness to 0 and synced it to my cloud storage, just in case. Then I waited. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, my girlfriend told me she was going out for errands. Said it casually like it was nothing. I nodded, smiled, and waited. She left at noon. Emma arrived at 12:25. I watched her through the entry cam again. Same walk, same expression, same story. This time, I didn't have to imagine what happened next, because now I was recording it. They didn't know I'd returned 5 minutes after she left. I parked a few blocks away and came into the back entrance, the one that didn't face the main street. I didn't go inside, just waited in the hallway, ears open, every word muffled through the wall like the heartbeat of a secret. Laughter, soft music. At one point I heard them pause, footsteps across the floor, and then something I couldn't unhear. The sound of a long, low sigh, followed by the unmistakable shuffle of someone collapsing into someone else. I waited, timed it. Then I knocked. Once. Firmly. No answer. Knocked again. Still silence. Then footsteps. A pause behind the door. It opened slightly. My girlfriend's face appeared, pale, surprised, not scared, just caught. "Oh," she said, like she'd opened the door for a package she forgot she ordered. "You're home." "I forgot something," I said calmly. "Didn't know we had company." She hesitated. Then Emma was just leaving. Emma appeared behind her, adjusting her jacket, eyes wide. "Hey," she said almost too cheerfully. "Didn't expect you." "I know." Silence. I let it hang. They weren't touching, but they weren't apart either. And that space between them, it told me more than any camera ever could. "I'll be back later," I said. Neither of them stopped me. Neither of them explained. And that was all I needed. When I got back that evening, Emma was gone. My girlfriend was in the kitchen, pretending to scroll her phone. I didn't mention the tablet. Didn't say what I knew. I just walked past her into the bedroom and closed the door behind me. The footage was waiting in my cloud folder. I watched it, start to finish. Every laugh, every look, the subtle touches. The way they leaned into each other with a kind of electricity that no longer belonged to me. And finally, the moment they kissed. Slow, confident, like it wasn't their first, like it wouldn't be their last. I closed the video, and I smiled, not because I was okay, but because now I wasn't wondering. Now I knew. They say confrontation is a kind of freedom, that when you finally look someone in the eyes and say, "I know," it takes the weight off your chest. But in my case, it didn't lift anything. It just shifted it. I waited until dinner. We sat at the table, plates between us, the usual quiet hum of background music, trying to make everything feel normal. She smiled like nothing had happened, asked me how work was. I answered like I wasn't carrying a secret in my back pocket the size of a thunderstorm. Halfway through the meal, I put my fork down. I saw the footage. She blinked. "What?" "I saw you and Emma. On the couch. In our home." Silence. Pure. Sharp. Immediate. She didn't deny it. Didn't even try. Her hand froze mid-cut. Her eyes didn't widen. They narrowed, like she'd been waiting for this moment too. "I was going to tell you," she said finally, voice low. "When?" I asked. "After the next time?" Another pause. Then she surprised me. She's not who you remember. What's that supposed to mean? She's changed. We both have. And I didn't expect it, okay? I didn't go looking for it. But you let it in. I said, you let her in. I didn't mean to hurt you. That line, the classic, you didn't mean to lie either, but you did both. She swallowed hard. I don't want to lose you, she said softly, but I don't want to stop this either. What is this? She didn't answer. Instead, she stood up, walked around the table, and sat down beside me. Then came the twist. I want to show you something, she said. Before I could respond, she got up and left the room. A minute later, she came back with Emma. I didn't even know she was still here. Had she been waiting or listening? Emma stood in the doorway, not awkward, not embarrassed, just still, like she already knew what was about to happen. My girlfriend looked at me, then looked at her, then said, we talked about it. If you want, you can be part of this. We don't want to hide anymore. The room spun. I didn't expect that. I expected denial, maybe tears, definitely excuses, but not this, not inclusion. I looked at both of them. Two people who had betrayed me, calmly asking if I wanted to join the very thing they kept secret. Was it insane? Yes. Was it real? Also yes. I stood up, walked past them, stared out the window for a long time, and then, to my own surprise, I said, fine, but only once, and after that we talk. They looked at each other and nodded. I won't write details. I don't need to, but what I will say is this. When lines blur, when emotions and logic tangle, when you find yourself in a moment you never imagined, it changes something in you, not always for better, but permanently. Afterward, we sat in silence. Emma got up first, said she'd text later, and just like that, she was gone. My girlfriend stayed beside me, didn't say a word, didn't apologize again, didn't ask what I was thinking, because she knew it wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't closure, it was curiosity, it was control, and maybe for the first time, I had some of it back. The next morning felt colder than usual, not because of the weather, not because she opened the window, but because something had shifted. That part of me that used to belong only to me, the cautious, guarded part that watched people carefully before trusting them. It was gone. I gave it up in a single night, and now I was sitting in the quiet, wondering what came next. She made breakfast like everything was fine. Eggs, toast, coffee. She even added cinnamon, just the way I liked it. I watched her move around the kitchen, in a t-shirt that wasn't mine, and thought, were we now? She glanced at me between sips. You okay? She asked. I nodded slowly. Yeah. She smiled like she believed me. But I didn't believe me. Not anymore. Later that afternoon, Emma texted her. I saw the screen light up, the notification she tried to hide with the edge of her palm. She replied quickly, then flipped the phone upside down. You two still talking? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, it's complicated. That was the first honest thing she'd said in a while. That night, I lay awake beside her. My body was tired. My mind wasn't. I thought of Emma, her eyes, her voice, the way she looked at my girlfriend when she thought I wasn't watching. Was I jealous? Maybe. But mostly I felt used, like a piece of the puzzle that didn't fit. But they forced it in anyway, just to see what would happen. And I let them. The next morning, I packed a small bag, just enough for a few days. She watched me from the doorway. You're leaving? Just for a bit, I said. I need to think. She didn't stop me, didn't cry, didn't say, don't go. She just nodded. And that silence, it said more than any argument ever could. I stayed at a friend's place, slept on his couch, didn't explain much. He didn't ask. Good friends know when not to ask. 3 days later, I came back. The apartment was clean, quiet. She was there, sitting on the couch with a book in her lap. She looked up, didn't smile. I sat across from her. We can't keep doing this, I said. She nodded. I know. You crossed a line with her. We both did. Yeah, but only one of us regrets it. That made her pause. You regret it? She asked softly. No, I said, I regret needing to do it. She didn't argue, didn't ask for another chance. She knew what this was, a slow unraveling, the kind that doesn't explode. It just lets go, thread by thread. We spent that night in the same apartment, but in different rooms. No goodnight kiss. No whisper we'll be okay. Just space. Just silence. The next morning, I stood by the door with my keys in hand. She looked up from her coffee. I said, I'm not angry anymore. She nodded. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did. I know. I forgive you, I said. But we're done. And that was the end. No yelling. No tears. Just truth. Because sometimes people don't betray you to be cruel. They do it because they want something they don't know how to ask for. And sometimes you say yes when you should have walked away, just to prove to yourself that you were never a problem. Some endings don't feel like endings. They don't come with slamming doors or suitcases or someone begging in the rain. Sometimes they arrive in silence. In the moment you close a door behind you and realize you don't need to open again. I didn't block her. Didn't erase every photo. Didn't write long, angry messages that I'd regret later. I just stepped out of the story. That was enough. People think forgiveness means reconciliation. It doesn't. Sometimes forgiveness is simply telling yourself, I'm done bleeding over this. And I was done guessing, done doubting, done hoping she'd be someone she clearly wasn't. I moved into a smaller place. 1 bedroom, cheap furniture, quiet walls, no perfume lingering in the sheets, no shared playlists on the speakers, no echo of laughter that didn't belong to me, just space and silence and slowly peace. Emma never contacted me, not directly, anyway, but mutual friends mention her in passing. She's traveling a lot now. She moved across the city. She asked about you. I didn't ask back. I didn't need updates. Because whatever we were, Emma and I, it ended long before I realized it. Long before she kissed my girlfriend on our couch. Maybe even long before the dinner. That changed everything. As for my ex, she messaged once. I'm sorry. Truly, I miss you. I didn't reply. Not out of anger. But because I knew where a reply would lead. Backwards. And I was done walking in circles. Instead, I started doing small things again. Morning walks. Reading more. Making coffee slowly, without checking my phone between sips. I even started writing again. Not stories. Just pieces of thought. Fragments of clarity that only come after pain burns clean. Things like, you don't always lose people when they betray you. Sometimes you find yourself instead. Loyalty is a language some people only pretend to speak. When someone makes you a guest in your own life, you don't ask for a seat, you leave the room. One evening, I passed the street where we'd first run into Emma. Same corner, same bakery. But this time, no ghost followed me. I bought a coffee, sat by the window, watched the world move, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like something was missing, because I finally understood. I didn't lose her. I didn't lose Emma. I didn't lose anything that belonged to me. What I lost were illusions, masks, and in their place, I found something better. Myself. I never told her goodbye. Not in a message. Not in person. Not even in my head. Because some people don't deserve a final word. Just a final silence. The truth is, by the time I walked away, she wasn't the person I was saying goodbye to. She was already someone else. Someone who looked like the girl I trusted. Who spoke with the same voice. Who smiled in the same way. But who had made decisions that rewrote everything between us. They say closure is a conversation. I disagree. Sometimes closure is just choosing to never open that door again, no matter how long someone stands on the other side of it. She messaged once more. Weeks after I had disappeared from her orbit. I still think about you. I read it, then archived it. Didn't feel angry. Didn't feel sad. Didn't feel much at all. Because by then, I'd already buried the version of myself who would have answered. The version who needed her to care. Emma never resurfaced. Not that I expected her to. The thing with people like Emma is they're not malicious, just selfish in ways that look like charm. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I didn't blame her anymore, but I also didn't excuse her. She made her choices, and so did I. Now, I live simply. My space is quiet. The kind of quiet I used to run from. Now I protect it like gold. There's no more second-guessing glances. No more analyzing tones. No more trying to read between the lines of people who speak in riddles. Just peace, and honesty, and stillness. Sometimes people ask if I ever talk to her again. I say no, and I won't, because once someone teaches you how little they value your heart, you don't ask them to hold it again, not even out of nostalgia. I still believe in trust, still believe in closeness, but now I give it slowly, carefully, deliberately, and only to those who earn it, not those who charm their way into it. She won't hear from me again, not because I hate her, but because I've learned that healing doesn't come from proving anything to the person who broke you. It comes from proving to yourself that you never needed them to begin with. This wasn't her story. Not anymore. It was mine. And this chapter? It ends with me. Not with pain. Not with anger. But with something far more rare. Peace.